This presentation is an introduction to data standardization and also an overview of the process that is involved in the data standardization in the CoConnect project. To standardize the search query as demonstrated in the HDR cohort discovery search tool demo shown in part 1 of the presentation, we need to ensure that the data is in a standard format. So search criteria is uniform across all the cohorts. If you're searching for a cough symptom, it should be represented as cough in all the cohorts. For example, here we have 3 different data sets. All 3 data sets have a different number of tables, possibly different table names, field names, and field values. Let us assume that these data sets are recording a symptom, say symptom 1, which represents cough. In dataset A, the field value of 1 is the representation of presence of cough. In dataset B, the field value of yes is the representation of presence of cough. And in the dataset C, the field value patient has cough is the representation of presence of cough. If you want to find out the number of records of people experiencing the cough symptoms in these 3 datasets, you would have to create personalized queries to return the desired results. When we query through the HDR cohort discovery search tool, it has a standard query criteria for all the datasets. And to implement that, we need to convert the datasets to a standard format. In CoConnect, we have opted for OMOP CDM, which means transforming the data to common format and common terminologies. Here, for example, after converting the datasets to OMOP CDM, they have the same database structure, that is the schema, and same terminology for cough. In OMOP CDM, we have dedicated tables for different categories. For example, person table for demographics, conditions table for recording conditions, and measurement table to record any measurements or lab test results data. For more detail, you can check the link that is listed on the slide. As shown in the HDR cohort discovery tool demo in part 1 of the presentation, data needs to be in a standard format to standardize the query. OMOP CDM conversion of the data means to convert the data into a standard format such that we are using standard structure and terminology. As shown in this diagram, CoConnect has opted for a federated approach in which the data never leaves the data partner's secure network. This makes it even more challenging for the CoConnect data team to perform the data standardization process because the CoConnect data team do not have access to the data, and the CoConnect data team can only be provided the metadata. This diagram gives an overview of the process involved at the data partner's end and the CoConnect team to successfully convert the data into OMOP CDM by ensuring that the data is not accessed or manipulated by anyone except the data partner. More details on this diagram can be found in the technical onboarding pack. This document provides detailed information of each step labeled on the diagram. The document can be accessed via the link mentioned on the slide. The first step of the data standardization is the pre-processing of the data by the data partner according to the guidelines provided by the CoConnect data team. This involves restructuring of the data if needed. This step is very important because the CoConnect OMOP mapper and CoConnect tool can only process data in a certain format. Once the process is completed, the data partner will run an open source tool called Whiterabbit to generate the metadata extract. This metadata extract does not contain any data and only provides information about table names, field names, and field values frequency distribution. As the next step of the data standardization, the data partner will send the Whiterabbit output or the metadata extract and the data dictionary to the CoConnect data team. The CoConnect data team will then use these files as an input to the CoConnect mapping tool and generate an OMOP conversion rules file in JSON format. Think of this rules file as a document containing guidelines for conversion of data to OMOP CDM. As the final step for the data standardization to OMOP CDM, the CoConnect data team will send the OMOP conversion rules file to the data partner along with the directions to install the CoConnect tool. The CoConnect tool will take the data and the OMOP conversion rules file as input and generate the data in OMOP CDM format as output and export it to BC-Link application DB. This part of the process will be executed in the virtual machine on the data partner's secure network.